Brent crude prices continue to rise. This is the latest update that we are getting for you. Now, Brent, we have learnt it has crossed $100 per barrel mark. Now, this is very, very significant. US benchmark crude, in fact, jumped to about $95 a barrel. Now, this coming in at a time when escalation is continuing, and this even after the International Energy Agency agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil. That's the largest volume of emergency oil reserves in the history. That's being done to counter the war's effects on energy markets specifically. And apart from that, US has planned to release 172 million barrels of oil next week from its strategic petroleum reserve to combat the steep prices that we are witnessing at this point in time. And in fact, just day before the war started, crude oil prices were around $72 per barrel. But then on 9th of March, they hit about $120 a barrel. And now what we are witnessing is again a spike in the crude oil prices. Let's go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary joining us live right now for more on this. Srinjoy, after the decision by International Energy Agency to release 400 million barrels of oil, one expected oil prices to cool down slightly, but they continue to remain on the boil.
This is called insecurity because you don't know what's going to happen. First of all, Donald Trump just a few days ago said the war is coming to an end. You rightly said $120 a barrel. Then it came down to about 90 because President Trump said that the war is coming to an end. Once the community, the world realized the war wasn't coming to an end and things are going to go on, then, as you rightly said, crude prices have touched $100 a barrel. Now these 400 million barrels that are going to come into the market, they haven't come into the market as yet. Once they do, perhaps things will cool down a little bit. But there is serious demand today, and there will always be demand. I mean, if this war had taken place 10 years later, by which time maybe the green economy would have taken off, then many more cars would have been fueled by electricity and so on. So the demand for oil would have been less in any case. But for about a decade, the oil prices are going to be important. Petroleum is going to be important. And as long as petroleum is important, then Iran or any country there will have an advantage. And this is the advantage that the Iranians are using. They know that if they mine the Straits of Hormuz, if they target tankers or other merchant ships, this will mean that movement around the Straits of Hormuz will come down. According to some reports, there were about an average of 5 ships a day since the war began. And usually there are hundreds of ships in the area. We don't know exactly the number that crossed the Straits of Hormuz, but it's certainly more than 4. So if that is so, then there is less oil going into the world. And therefore, the demand and supply situations work here. And there is much more demand than supply, which is why prices are going up.
Well, absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
Now, can these $400 million barrels make a difference? We don't know.
Absolutely. In fact, we also know how Iran had also, in fact, indicated that oil could touch $200 a barrel. Iran had warned of continuous strikes as well, just yesterday. Stay on with us, Srinjoy. There is another important update that we are getting for our viewers right now. And we have learned that another container ship has been targeted. This is the latest update coming in. A fresh claim has been made by UK Marine Trade Organization. This is the update that we are getting for you. Another container, in fact, has been hit by an unknown projectile near the coast of the Jebel Ali. This is the update that we are getting for you. Akanksha, my colleague, is now joining us live right now from the newsroom. Akanksha, what is the latest that you can share with us?
Absolutely. Let me take you through the statement that has been put out by UK MTO. They have said that they have received a report of an incident 35 nautical mile north of Jebel Ali, that is UAE. The master has reported that the container ship was struck by unknown projectile, causing a small fire on board. Full damage assessment impaired by darkness. All crew are reported safe. No environmental impact has been reported so far. Authorities are investigating this matter as well. But very important to point out, Hina, that in the last few hours, this is the third container in this area that has been targeted. Now, let me show you this on the map where this container was exactly at. This is the current location where it was hit by the unknown projectile. Just look at the distance between this area and Dubai. It was quite close to Dubai is what we are learning so far. This is the initial report that we have, that this was 35 nautical mile north of Jebel Ali port, that is in UAE, and they have reported that the container ship was struck by unknown projectile. All those who were on this container ship are currently safe, but quite concerning because this was very close to Dubai.
Well, absolutely. Thank you, Akanksha. Appreciate you joining us with those details. Let me go across to my colleague Rishabh as well. Rishabh, now another container ship getting targeted by an unknown, unidentified projectile.
Well, definitely, see, the way, these vessels are getting targeted, and Iran do understand that the moment oil or the oil supply chain or the vessel supply chain is disrupted, and especially in Gulf of Persia or Persian Gulf or Gulf of Oman and the Strait of Hormuz, the oil supply worldwide would be at risk, and that would create a huge pressure on the United States and Israel. And that's the reason that we are seeing since morning a Greek flagged vessel has been bombed, one US flagged vessel has been bombed as well. Yesterday we saw a Thai flagged vessel that was moving to Kandla was bombed. There's another vessel also in the morning that was bombed. So the way tankers and vessels are getting attacked in the region, one thing is very clear. Now, one understands that the military bases have been attacked, the radar system has been taken care of, and now it's time to build pressure on US to take a step back. And that's the reason that we are seeing that oil supplies are being disrupted. And the moment oil prices go up, and especially in the domestic market with midterms approaching, Donald Trump won't be in a good shape if things don't go as planned. And hence, a step back would be the only option that Washington will have. And that is something that Iran is anticipating while the IRGC continues these attacks on various vessels and tankers.
All right. Thank you very much, Rishabh, as well as Shinjo. I appreciate both of you for joining us with your inputs on the stories from the Middle East. Heading into a short break right now, coming back with lots more. Don't go anywhere.